Welcome to the deep dive. We plunge into fascinating material, looking for those incredible insights. Today, we're diving into some really compelling excerpts you shared from Edward O. Wilson's A Magic Kingdom. We're journeying back in time.
Yeah, not just to an era, but really into the mind, the formative mind of,
Yeah.
well, one of the great scientific thinkers of the 20th century.
Absolutely. And this piece is just so revealing, isn't it? How his early life, these really vivid observations he made, basically forged his path.
Right, to become this world-renowned entomologist, conservationist.
Exactly. So our mission, let's say, for this deep dive is to try and understand how this, well, unique childhood, it had challenges, but also wonder how it laid the groundwork for a lifelong passion.
And crucially, how memory itself, shapes these deep obsessions we develop.
Okay, so what really jumps out from this material then?
Well, what's truly fascinating here is how Wilson explains the why behind his incredible focus. It's much more than just curiosity.
Yep.
He draws this profound line connecting memory, emotion, and, well, his intellectual drive. We're getting a kind of shortcut, really.
A blueprint, maybe.
Yeah, a blueprint to understanding how a genius comes to be. Seeing how those early moments weren't just random. They were like building blocks carefully laid for this amazing career.
So are you saying this isn't just about Wilson? It's more of a universal thing, that these powerful childhood moments, they sort of program all our paths, whether we end up as scientists or, something else.
I think so, absolutely.
Yeah.
Willis's story is just such a powerful example of a really fundamental human thing. Our brains, they're constantly filtering, right?
Mm.
And those early connections, the ones with strong emotions tied to them, they often set our course, sometimes in ways we don't even consciously clock until much, much later.
Okay, right. Let's unpack that then. Let's see those connections being made.
Right.
So picture this. October 1935, Pensacola, Florida. It's hot.
Yeah.
Wilson takes us on this walk, starting down by the seawall, south end of Palafox Street. He peers over, down onto the rocks.
Kept wet by the bay water.
Exactly. And he sees this group of grapsid crabs. His description is just so alive. He says they look like big black spiders.
Wow.
Crustaceous skins, almost metallic, he says. Carapaces like silver dollars. And these claw-like legs spread out, resting on needle-tipped feet.
Needle-tip sheet, yeah. Always ready to run.
Forward, backwards, sideways.
Right.
He even remembers dropping a pebble just to watch them scatter. This is where his world, really starts snapping into focus.
A world of small details.
Okay, so we turn, walk north, up Palafox. We pass Child's Restaurant, busy place, courthouse crowd.
Right.
And Wilson remembers stopping, passing his hand through this light beam at the entrance, this automatic door opener.
Ah, the miracle of modern technology.
Yes, he'd do it again and again just for the wonder of it. Sometimes let people waiting behind him go through first.
Oh, no.
Then a bit further, the Sinninger Theater. Pensacola's premier palace of pleasure, he calls it.
Cooled by iced air, he notes. Big deal back then.
Huge deal. And this Saturday, it's Flash Gordon and Errol Flynn in Captain Blood. He'd seen it already, remembers Flynn skewering Basil Rathbone. Scary stuff.
Vivid memory.
So this is the busy part of town, right? Model A Fords, shoppers everywhere. And that warning, be careful crossing Romana Street. A kid on a bike got hit there.
Oh, wow. A stark reminder.
Yeah. And the air. He says it was heavy and moist and laced with engine fumes. You can almost smell it. A real snapshot.
Definitely.
Okay, now we cross Palafox over to the courthouse lawn. And here come the ants. His first really memorable ant encounters.
Yes. Fire ants.
He sees a colony swarming from this irregular pile of dirt, their mound. Winged queens, males, taking off on their mating flight.
Protected by those angry-looking workers.
Exactly. Running up grass blades onto the hot concrete.
And what's really striking, even for a kid, is that he identifies them.
Right, as Solenopsis geminata, the native fire ant.
Yeah, and he specifically notes that the really infamous one, Solenopsis invicta, the imported one from South America, it wouldn't even show up there for another, 15 years.
It's incredible. It just shows that innate biological awareness, that sharp eye he had, even then, really setting the stage.
Totally.
Okay, a few blocks further, sidewalk, he sees these other ants, lion ants of the genus Dorymarmex, running like whirligigs, he says, on the super hot surface.
Whirligigs. Great description.
He crushes one and gets that unmistakable smell of a dolichoderine ant.
Ah, the chemical defense smell.
Yeah, he tells us later it's a heptanone and methylheptanone, secretions from their rear glands, pygidial glands, used for defense alarm signals. But here's where it gets really interesting. this spot, his obsession with it.
Yeah, this is amazing.
He goes back 40 years later to almost the exact same spot. Then again, 15 years after that, gets down on his knees.
Just to check for those ants.
Yeah, to see if the dory myrmex were back. Found Phytolodentata instead. He calls his surveillance, lasting nearly 60 years, a strange journey and a stranger obsession.
And that obsession, as you say, it ties directly into his whole theory about how our long-term memory works.
How so?
Well, he compares the human mind to a barracuda, you know, scanning this huge underwater scene, all these details.
There's the fish, coral.
Exactly. But then it locks onto just one or two decisive details, or, as he puts it, configurations with the greatest emotional impact.
Ah, okay.
And he thinks those emotionally charged ones get stored first. They last longer, especially when you're a child. And they basically, well, program the direction your life takes.
So, like that barracuda zeroing in on one specific fish, our minds grab onto what hits us hardest emotionally and sort of ignore the rest.
Precisely. And for young Wilson, those decisive details were just overwhelmingly in the natural world, all those small animals. He quotes the Talmud, saying, "We see things not as they are, but as we are," which explains why Pensacola, for him, becomes this network of vividly remembered small animals.
Well, the backdrop, the people, the streets, even his, quote, normal boy memories of games and Christmas, they just faded.
Largely faded, yeah. They were important then, sure, but they didn't have that same emotional hook, that barracuda lock-on quality, as the ants and crabs did for him.
That's really profound. So Pensacola was his ant lab, basically. But for someone else, same town, same time, it might have been all about, I don't know, the smell from a bakery or a specific song playing somewhere.
Exactly right. It's all about our individual barracudas, what they choose to lock onto based on our unique emotional landscape.
Which brings us to why Wilson's barracuda was so tuned into nature, even while those other kid memories faded.
Yeah, exactly. He calls himself an only child who lived something of a gypsy's existence.
A gypsy's existence.
His dad's job, government accounting, meant they moved constantly. An odyssey across the southeastern United States. He ended up going to, get this, 14 different public schools in 11 years.
14 schools. Wow. That's incredibly disruptive for a kid.
Hugely.
So all that moving, that instability, how did that shape how he saw the world compared to kids with, you know, more stable roots?
Well, it's absolutely critical. Wilson says nature became his companion of choice. Why? Because the outdoors was the one part of my world I perceived to hold rock steady.
Ah, the constant in the chaos.
Exactly. He can count on animals, plants, human relationships. He says they were more difficult.
I can imagine.
He remembers being in Orlando, the first new place, and avoiding other kids for weeks out of fear. He talked to himself, creating these three boys in his head. I, me, and myself.
Wow, that's poignant.
He even tried nurturing bits of Spanish moss like they were friends, but admits the main feeling was self-pity.
That insight, though, that loneliness in a beautiful environment might be a good, if risky, way to create a scientist, or at least a field biologist. It rings true here.
It really does. After those first few weeks in Orlando, he started fishing. He only had good vision in one eye, remember, after an accident.
Right, the Paradise Beach accident.
So he's fishing with one eye and spends hours just watching this big alligator gar stuck in a cement pool. He learned to adapt, though, being the new kid all the time.
Wow.
Sometimes by pretending to be deft and just to get noticed. Other times working his way into baseball games. But he also talks about fights.
Fights.
Yeah, merciless and brutal fistfights. Typical, he says, for boys aged 9 to 14 in the South back then. His dad told him never to back down.
So he fought.
Never quit a fight, he says, even if he was losing. Carried old lip and brow split scars from it all.
Man, that's intense. A lot for a kid to navigate.
It really is. But here's the paradox, right? Despite all that chaos, the moving, the fights, the loneliness, he found peace. He says, my childhood was nevertheless relatively serene.
Serene.
How hurt me? He found other introverts. Found a best friend to go exploring woods with, looking for snakes and insects. But ultimately, he concludes he was just as happy to be entirely alone.
Turning more and more to nature.
Yes, with growing concentration to nature as a sanctuary and a realm of boundless adventure, the fewer people in it, the better. Wilderness became this dream of privacy, safety, control, and freedom.
Solitudo.
Exactly. He loved the Latin name, Solitudo. And adds that his one bad eye also kind of pushed him towards insects, towards the small things he could see well up close. He says he never grew out of his bug, period.
So the instability, ironically, fostered this incredibly stable focus. The restless childhood pushed him into the quiet, steady world of nature.
It's almost poetic, isn't it? How adversity, when you find an outlet like he did, can forge these unique strengths. That drive for solitude or for the peace he found alone in nature, it became the foundation.
Okay, so after years of this gypsy life, imagine the change. He's 10. His dad gets transferred again, but this time,
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. And for young EO, this becomes his true magic kingdom.
Yeah.
No question.
You can see why. Living near the National Zoo.
And just a 5-cent streetcar ride from the National Museum of Natural History.
Both free, open every day. He called it an extraordinary stroke of good luck.
Understatement. He said he entered a fantasy world made weirdly palpable by federal largesse. Spent hours in the museum pulling out drawers of butterflies, insects.
Lost in dreams of distant jungles and savannas.
Yeah, but it wasn't just dreaming, was it?
Not at all. And this is fascinating how he saw the museum curators, like shamans of my new world, working behind closed doors, guarded.
Shaman.
Yeah, and seeing them fixed in me the conception of science as a desirable life goal. He wanted their knowledge. He wanted to be a steward of animals, plants, use that expertise for public service. It wasn't just cool bugs. It was a calling taking shape.
You can just picture him, right? This kid, totally captivated, seeing his future self in those hidden labs.
Absolutely. And the zoo was just as powerful, a living museum. He'd stare at the big, charismatic stuff, tigers, rhinos, king cobras, but also developed a fondness for lizards, marmosets, even Philippine tree rats. But the real magic, the sort of jungle in miniature for him,
Rock Creek Park,
right nearby, became Uganda and Sumatra writ small. He found a new best friend there, Ellis MacLeod.
who also became an entomologist.
He did, professor of entomology.
Yeah.
And the two of them, they'd collect butterflies with these homemade nets, broomsticks, coat hangers, cheesecloth bags.
That's brilliant. Such a classic image of young naturalists.
Totally. And they weren't just collecting, they were studying, devouring books like Frank Lutz's Field Guide to the Insects, Holland's Butterfly Book.
And even tackling snodgrass.
Yeah, R.E. Snodgrass's Principles of Insect Morphology.
Wilson admits they could barely begin to understand it, but they revered it because it felt like real science.
And that's when they decided, we would devote our life to entomology. Then one day in the park, Wilson finds this seething mass of citronella ants under some bark.
Acanthamyops, the yellow ones.
Right. Short, fat, brilliant yellow, emitting that strong lemony smell.
And this is another one of those moments that echoes later, scientifically. It wasn't just a cool find.
Exactly. 30 years on, in his Harvard lab, he figures out that lemony smell, citronelle, is a chemical alarm and defense signal, just like the stuff he'd identified of those Dory myrmex ants way back in Pensacola.
Wow. It all connects. The threads just keep weaving together.
They really do. And there's another connection from D.C. He read an article, Stalking Ants, Savage and Civilized, by William M. Mann.
Who was the director of the National Zoo at the time?
Right. Mann became his hero. Fast forward decades. Wilson's a young professor at Harvard, and who gives him his huge ant library and a personal tour of the zoo.
William Mann.
William Mann himself. And then years later, 1987, Wilson gets the silver medal from the National Zoo for his own work. Talk about full circle.
Incredible. It just feels so destined. Connecting all these threads, his path seems like it was set so incredibly early, reinforced by every single step.
Even his fifth-grade teacher saw it. Back in 1940, she wrote. Ed has genuine writing ability, and when he combines this with his great knowledge of insects, he produces fine results.
10 years old. She nailed it.
Pretty much. And, a key takeaway here is how Wilson reflects on those very institutions from his youth, the zoo, the museum. He sees them facing this new urgency now.
A quickening of purpose, he calls it.
Yeah. The zoo moving towards being a biopark, showing animals and ecosystems, focusing on biodiversity for the planet's health.
And the museum's still building collections because they understand, as he says, the future in their bones. It is sobering, though, thinking about the weight they carry now. Wilson really highlights that biodiversity crisis.
He does. The numbers are staggering. 10 to 100 million species maybe exist. We've only named about 1.4 million.
And so many are vanishing or close to it because of habitat loss, human activity.
Especially tropical rainforests, holding most of the species, losing over 0.5% a year. It's a massive challenge for all of us.
Absolutely.
But even facing that huge global crisis, Wilson brings it back to the personal. For him, the drive was always internal.
Right. He says that despite everything, The boy who experienced the magic of the zoo and museum is still strong inside me. He is the puppet master of the man.
Yeah. I would have followed the same path, regardless of what happened to the rest of the world. It was that deeply ingrained.
What an incredible deep dive that was, just seeing how all these different strands, the intense observation, the tough nomadic childhood, finding those inspiring places like the museum and zoo, how they all came together to shape E.O. Wilson's mind. Based on this material you brought us, it's just, wow.
A real testament to that early passion, isn't it?
Mm,
And just sticking with it.
definitely. Sustained curiosity in action.
And maybe this raises an important question for you, listening right now. Wilson shows us how those really potent details from our past, the ones with that emotional charge, can kind of program our lives like his Magic Kingdom moments did for him. So what Magic Kingdom or maybe decisive configurations from your own life, could be childhood, could be more recent, might be shaping your passions or how you see the world right now?
That's a great question to ponder. We invite you to think about those details that have really stuck with you, the moments your barracuda locked onto. And maybe, like Wilson, take a closer look at the world right under your feet.
You never know what you'll find.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.